The Monster Beneath the Mississippi, the Forgotten River Legend of America. In the quiet mist of dawn, when the Mississippi River looks like a sleeping serpent under the veil of fog, a strange ripple sometimes breaks the surface, slow, deliberate, and unnaturally large. Old fishermen along the river say that when you see that ripple, you're not supposed to stare too long, because the river stares back. For centuries, people have whispered about something that lives deep within America's greatest river, a creature that has haunted native tribes, explorers, and even modern divers. It's a story buried under layers of history, part legend, part terrifying reality. The first warnings, native legends. Long before steamboats and bridges spanned the Mississippi, the river was sacred to the Native American tribes who lived along its banks, the Choctaw, Natchez, and the Tunica. To them, it was a living spirit, powerful, unpredictable, and sometimes hungry. One of the earliest recorded legends comes from the Choctaw, who spoke of a massive river beast called Tataclea, meaning the eater of men. According to their oral history, the creature would surface when the moon was full, dragging entire canoes into the depths without leaving a trace. Some said it was as long as 3 canoes end to end, with scales like black iron and eyes that glowed red beneath the water. Archaeologists later found petroglyphs along the bluffs near present-day Mississippi and Louisiana, carvings of what looked like a long, horned serpent undulating through waves. These ancient rock carvings dated back over 1,000 years, suggesting that the legend of the river monster was far older than any written record in America. The French explorers encounter, 1690s. When French explorers like Pierre Le Moyne d'Iberville and his brother Bienville traveled up the Mississippi in the 1690s, they heard these stories directly from local tribes. Iberville's journal describes an unusual terror in the water near what is now Baton Rouge. He said, "The natives refused to pass a certain bend of the river at night. They speak of a serpent of great size, which overturns boats and devours those who fall within its reach." The French soldiers laughed until one of their canoes vanished during a night crossing. No body was ever recovered. Iberville wrote no more about it in his official records, but a private letter found in the French archives in 1740 mentions a monstrous creature seen rolling beneath the waves like the mast of a ship. The steamboat disaster of 1872. Fast forward to October 1872. The steamboat Magnolia Belle was carrying nearly 40 passengers from Memphis to Vicksburg. Near midnight, as the boat passed a quiet stretch south of Greenville, the crew heard a tremendous crash below deck. Some believed they'd struck a submerged log, a common hazard. But then the entire vessel lurched sideways, as if something had struck it from beneath. Survivors later claimed they saw a massive black shape rise out of the river, glistening like wet stone, before vanishing again into the dark. The boat sank within minutes. Out of 40 passengers, only 18 survived. The official report blamed a broken boiler pipe, but locals insisted otherwise. For years afterward, no riverboat captain dared pass that section of the river after dark. Scientific curiosity and strange evidence, 1900s. By the early 20th century, newspapers began to treat the Mississippi Monster as more than folklore. In 1913, the St. Louis Dispatch ran a story titled "What Lurks Beneath the River," describing strange sightings near Helena, Arkansas. Fishermen had hauled up enormous fish with deep gashes on their bodies, wounds too wide to be caused by any known predator in the river. In 1924, a diver named Henry J. Carter was hired by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to inspect a collapsed section of a dock near Natchez. When he surfaced, pale and shaking, he refused to go back down. In his written report, he mentioned, "A moving shape larger than a wagon passed just beneath me. It had a mouth like a cave and a tail that stirred the silt into a storm. I do not wish to dive again in that part of the river." 2 months later, Carter disappeared. His boat was found adrift, empty. The 1940 photograph. In 1940, a grainy black and white photograph surfaced in the Memphis Gazette. It showed what appeared to be the curved back of an enormous creature breaking the river's surface near a bridge construction site. The image was analyzed by experts from the Smithsonian, who could not confirm whether it was an animal, a log, or a trick of light. Still, the story caught fire. Locals began to call it the Mississippi Leviathan. Tourists came hoping to catch a glimpse. The local sheriff even offered a $500 reward for anyone who could bring proof of the creature. No one ever did. But one man, Dr. Ernest Langley, a biologist from Louisiana State University, became obsessed. He spent 12 years studying sonar readings, underwater currents, and eyewitness reports. In 1957, he published a paper proposing that the Mississippi monster might be a surviving relic of an ancient species, possibly a massive freshwater sturgeon or plesiosaur descendant that had adapted to the murky depths. His peers ridiculed him. Langley withdrew from academia and was later found dead in his cabin near the river, his final notes soaked and illegible. The modern sightings, sonar, submarines, and the unexplained. By the 1980s, technology brought new tools to explore old mysteries. The U.S. Geological Survey began using sonar to map the Mississippi's depths for flood control projects. In 1984, a technician reported an anomalous moving object roughly 40 feet long near Vicksburg, too large to be any known species in the river. That data was quietly removed from public archives 2 weeks later. In 2002, a team of environmental scientists studying pollution recorded a thermal camera video of a heat signature beneath the water. A massive, moving source of body heat in an area where no large animals were known to exist. The footage was never officially released, but several frames leaked online years later, fueling new conspiracy theories. Some say it's just a giant alligator gar, which can grow over 8 feet long. But others who've lived by the river their whole lives swear the gar are too small, that what they've seen was longer than a pickup truck, with a movement like a swimming snake. The river's secret depths. The Mississippi River may look tame from above, muddy, slow, and brown, but beneath the surface, it's another world. In some places, it reaches depths over 200 feet, with swirling whirlpools and hidden trenches carved by centuries of current. These areas have never been fully mapped or explored. Divers say the visibility is so poor you can't see your own hands underwater. That's where, they believe, the creature hides. Some researchers have speculated about giant catfish mutated by industrial waste, or prehistoric paddlefish that have evolved beyond recognition. But the locals, it's simpler. As one old fisherman in Greenville once said, "There's something down there older than us, older than this country. It ain't evil, it just is." The river keeps its own secrets. A recent discovery, 2019. In 2019, during dredging operations near Baton Rouge, a construction crew uncovered something extraordinary. Massive, rib-like bones embedded deep in the river mud. Initial speculation claimed they belonged to a whale that had drifted inland millions of years ago. But later analysis suggested the bones were too recent, less than 200 years old, and did not match any known marine or freshwater species. The Smithsonian reportedly took custody of the remains, but no official report was ever released. Shortly after, the dredging operation was halted. Locals said strange noises, low, echoing like distant thunder, began coming from the water at night.